Hi, this is Mighty CS Man. I have a complete college course using the Building Java Programs textbook, and the textbook has this Practice It website, and I'm going to be showing you how to do Self-Check 5.9 doWhileSeash. So Chapter 5 has a lot of material in it, but it's largely about of course, indefinite loops, and in particular, this is called a Sentinel loop. And if you look in the book in section 5.2 under Sentinel loops, they talk about mathematical Sentinel loops. So their general form of the pseudocode is while, I'm going to copy from the book, we haven't seen the Sentinel prompt and read, and then they say add it to the sum. Again, this is for mathematical things. So that is the form that they use throughout this entire section on Sentinel loops. They don't actually talk about how to do a Sentinel loop with a string. Okay, so we can try to apply it and say we haven't seen the Sentinel. What is the Sentinel first of all? Okay, so let's go ahead and put a comment about that. Sentinel is actually the string n, or character n, okay? So while we haven't seen the Sentinel, so that would mean we have to set up a string ahead of time, and then we would probably initialize it to null or something like that. So while that string doesn't equal to n, we prompt, I'm not even going to say it, prompt it, and we read it, and then it will come back around. And that's how we can apply their mathematical solution directly to this solution here. So let's try to do that here. Let's start with the scanner is equal to new scanner system.in, and be careful on this problem. This is fine to do this. On some problems, they actually will pass in a scanner to you. And I believe this is just bare code. It's not a method, so they can't give us a scanner. So we're going to establish a scanner. And then we also talked about we need a string right here. So we're going to declare a string response, and we'll set it to null. Okay. Now we have a while. Haven't seen it. Well, actually, let's keep these two lines together because they really go together. Or actually, let's modify this to be put the n right there. Okay, so while we haven't seen the Sentinel, so I'm going to give myself a line for the code here. While response dot equal of y equals false. Now, why am I using response dot equal y? That's because strings cannot be compared with just equals equals. If you try to use equals equals, it will actually it won't work. It'll sometimes work if you have two literals that you're comparing, but in the case here where we're actually going to get the response from the scanner, it's not going to work. Now, just as I'm typing this, we realize that, oh, you know what? We actually need to get the response, right? Because we haven't gotten it. So what we're going to have to do is outside this loop, we're going to have to do a prompt and read, right? So this now becomes like a loop and a half. We're going to do the half loop here, and then we're going to do the full loop in there. So let's go ahead and prompt system.out.println. And let's see if this will let me copy it. Good. And then you have to do the same for the next line. I'm going to put this prompt up. And then we're going to need to get response equals scanner. How do we get a response from the scanner? So there are different methods. The simplest one, just for text, is next. You can get an int if you want to. You can do next int, but in this case, we just want a string. So we're just going to get that next. Okay, so that sets us up to be able to run this test here. And then while it's not false, okay, okay, that's hard to read, but we're checking whether it equals y. If that's false, we're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to go ahead and tab these in. And then, so we've done this prompt and read. And then in this case, there is no adding it to the sum. Okay, so then we'll just go ahead and close this in. Okay, so let's try running that. Equals. Oh, you must use the do while loop. Okay, well, I think it will work, but it's not going to let me do that. I actually have to rewrite it, which is the next thing I was going to do, because the reason why I don't like this solution is that there's a lot of repeated code here, right? So the Sentinel loop, if you have a mathematical situation where you're, let's say, summing a bunch of things and then you get to the value that you don't like -1, in that case, you're going to have to do this half loop, full loop, okay? But in the case where you don't care about what happens to the last value, in this case, the n, then you don't need to do this. You can actually do a do while loop, okay, which is a lot simpler. So let's rewrite this instead as pseudocode is then going to be do, and then this code is going to be to prompt and get response while response not that. Okay, so we've actually already got almost all this code. I just have to put it in the right place. So it's going to be do, and obviously this pseudocode, this is pretty redundant, so we'll get rid of it. Do, and now we got to do the prompt. Put the prompt here. Let's try to tabify that. And then let's get the response. By the way, in Eclipse, you can get these things to get to the right margins just by hitting Control-I on whatever selection. Okay, while the response is not yes. So let's check, take this. Actually, I need the whole line. Do that. And let's put a close brace there. Actually, let's put the close brace right here. Do that while response equals false. Okay, so let's just put a multi-line comment over all of this for the moment so that I can keep it and show it to you. I probably should have left the original half loop in there as well. Okay, semicolon. This may be an infinite loop. It took a long time. Okay, so we take a look at, this is what the expected output is. Our output, so the first line looks good, the second line looks good, and then y. So it stopped on the very first one. Okay, so why did it do that? While, oh, sorry, I got the reverse logic. That's not equals false, doesn't equal. Well, let's just say equals true. Okay, so while we want to hear it again, then keep on doing it. Okay, now let's see. So yes, yes, no. Okay, so the only differences here are that we are doing a println. Okay, so let's change that to be print. Aha, there we go. So notice that practice it is very particular about the input and the output. So in that case, just that little print to println made the difference whether it's going to accept it or not. That's very true of practice it in general. You need to be exact, okay? And you need to take a look at this and see exactly what it expect and what was your output, okay? That's gonna help you through other practice it problems. Okay, so what did we learn in this problem? This problem, I chose this problem because it has Sentinel Loop, which is good. It also shows you how to do a Sentinel Loop with text characters, which is very important. Later I ask my students to do a blackjack homework where you have to say, do you want another hit? Yes and no. Okay, so you have to be able to deal with Sentinel Loop with characters. Also, I like this one because it shows that while Sentinel Loops for numbers oftentimes can involve a fence post type algorithm, a loop and a half, sorry, it's a loop and a half type algorithm where you have to do a half loop to set up your cumulative algorithm, and then you do the full loop, and then you'll throw away the result on the last time. For other cases, you don't need it. Okay, you can just do a simple do while. Okay, and again, that relates to the blackjack problem because the blackjack problem didn't need any of that fence post loop and a half type solutions. Okay, so if you found this helpful, please like and subscribe. I have the entire Building Java Programs series and as a complete college course, so please like and subscribe.